So, lads, in a kind of surprise, I'm not going to lie, it seems like the WNBA are trying to buy back the the $75 million 16% stake they sold in 2022. There's no chance that they buy it back for less than 200 million, by the way. But the fact that they're still exploring buying it back does mean
$75 million. That's what the WNBA sold 16% of the league for back in 2022. Now they want it back. And the price tag? Try north of 200 million. But here's what makes this fascinating. The league exploring this buyback right now, in the middle of brutal CBA negotiations, tells us everything about the panic happening behind closed doors.
It says here, the NBA has always viewed WNBA as a sideline. They've never thought of it as a standalone business that they're trying to maximize the value of, as a way to use the arenas in the summer that weren't being used. That's always been the conceptualization. Like, realistically, that's where a lot of them see it. Question is, now it's clear to everyone that is sentient knows women's basketball has arrived. It's possible. Is it possible for WNBA to coexist in that environment, or will someone take it away from them? By 2030, there'll be 18 teams. They're 15 months into CBA negotiations. They've reached a stalemate over how the league should share the revenue.
This is the reality nobody wants to say out loud. For decades, NBA owners viewed the WNBA as a summer arena filler, not a standalone business to maximize, not a legitimate investment opportunity, just a way to use empty buildings when the men weren't playing. That mindset shaped every decision, every budget allocation, every strategic choice for 26 years. But something shifted. Women's basketball exploded. Caitlin Clark happened. Attendance records shattered. Suddenly, everyone with a checkbook wants in, and now the league's facing a problem. They sold equity when they were desperate, and those investors are sitting on returns that could be 4 times their original investment.
They're 15 months into CBA negotiations. They've reached a stalemate over how the league should share the revenue. I have a feeling. My theory is the players are going to get their 33%, but that 33% is not going to come. There's going to be they're going to get, say, a certain percentage, or let's say 33%. I think the players want 30%.
By 2030, 18 teams will exist in this league. 3 expansion franchises are coming. And right now, 15 months into CBA negotiations, they've hit a complete stalemate over revenue sharing. The players want 30%. The league's offering 15. That's not a negotiation gap, that's a chasm. And here's where it gets complicated. You can't promise players 30% of revenue when you don't control 16% of your own league. The math doesn't work. The structure doesn't work. Which means buying back that equity isn't just about ownership pride. It's about making the financial model functional.
So I would assume that, because there is no way that the league is going to pay 200 plus million. Like, I would say, as much as the league has doubled, like, this investment is worthless if there's no league. So if this investment is the difference between the league going ahead and not, like, I would assume, if it's quadrupled the value of the league, my expectation is going to be they might have to pay 2.5 times instead of quadruple, because it does have that. There is the thing that it has no value if there's no league. But yeah, look, at the end of the day,
Think about the position this creates. The original investors include several current WNBA team owners, plus Condoleezza Rice and Nike. They put in $75 million when the league was valued at roughly $470 million total. If valuations have quadrupled like the reporting suggests, that 16% stake is now worth $300 million or more. So when the league comes calling to buy it back, why would these investors sell for anything less than massive returns? They took the risk when the league was struggling post-pandemic. They deserve the reward. Now that it's thriving, that's how investment works.
I've got to be honest. We have a situation where the players are realistically not going to be able to get what they want the way it currently is right now. The players are panicking. Like, the players are literally panicking. They are asking people to send angry emails to Cathy Engelbert. Like, they are panicking. They are literally in panic mode. Like, if we're being real, they are in panic mode.
But here's the theory that makes sense of all this chaos. The players are going to get their 33% revenue share. Eventually, just not immediately. Because what if the buyback and the CBA are actually the same negotiation? Picture this structure. The players agree to 15% revenue share for now, but they get that 16% equity stake as part of the deal. Over 10 years, maybe 15, they use their 15% annual revenue share to pay off whatever price the league negotiated for that equity. Once it's paid off, their revenue share jumps to the 33% they wanted all along. It's creative. It gives the league breathing room. It gives the players ownership and long-term upside. And it solves the immediate cash flow problem that's killing these negotiations.
The league, like, if the league doesn't go ahead, they're all fucked. They're all fucked. The only person that seems to have asked about a petition, when they said all you were asking about a petition, was one person Instagram post, which is the only comment they hearted and responded, check our story in an hour. At the end of the day, it is one of those things where we've got the league.
The players are panicking. That's not speculation. That's observable fact. They're asking fans to send angry emails to Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. They're posting about petitions on Instagram stories. Natasha Cloud went on a podcast and said players could just stay down in Unrivaled if there's no WNBA season. That's not confidence. That's desperation dressed up as leverage. Because everyone involved knows the truth. Nobody benefits from there not being a season. Not the players, not the owners, not the equity holders, not the fans, not the media partners who just signed massive new deals.
Into account that the league isn't a charity. So in any way, whatever way they're able to get the money back, whatever way they're able to get the equity back, they are realistically going to have to find a way that works out for everybody, because the players are panicking, the league are trying to buy back a stake, and now it's a situation where if the players don't go and don't go and get this,
and this is where the alternative leagues reveal their limitations. Unrivaled is 3-on-3 basketball. Athletes Unlimited doesn't even crown a team champion. Individual players win. Project B appears to be a traveling exhibition that's part of some tech bros' larger streaming service fantasy. EuroLeague exists, but has never generated American mainstream attention. None of these replace the WNBA. None of them provide the structure, the legitimacy, the media coverage, the career stability that the WNBA offers. They're supplemental income at best. They're not viable alternatives if the WNBA ceases to exist.
Nobody benefits from there not being a season. The players don't benefit, the owners don't benefit, the equity holders don't benefit. Nobody benefits from there not being a season. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is one of those things where the league kind of has to happen. The league kind of has to happen right now. And I would be scared for, if the league doesn't happen, the future of women's basketball is.
So when Natasha Cloud suggests players could just stay in Unrivaled, she's bluffing with a weak hand. Because what happens to Unrivaled's value proposition if there's no WNBA to return to? What happens to these players' international leverage if the premier league in the world shuts down over a labor dispute? The answer is their earning power craters. Their visibility disappears. Their negotiating position with overseas teams evaporates. The entire ecosystem that allows them to make money year-round collapses if the WNBA doesn't operate.
Very, very bleak. There's EuroLeague, Project B. There's everything. The league has there's little bits of everything, but none of that has any real relevance if the WNBA isn't happening. We have to be honest here. The WNBA is the league. It is the league. It is where these players come to play.
Here's what the equity investors understand that maybe the players don't fully grasp yet. This investment is worthless if there's no league. If the CBA negotiations fail and the season doesn't happen, that 16% stake in a defunct league is worth exactly $0. Which means the investors have massive incentive to facilitate a deal. They might accept 2.5 times their investment instead of the full 4 times multiple they could demand. Because something is infinitely better than nothing. And the window to cash out at peak value is right now. While the league is hot and expansion is driving valuations higher.
That's the video. I'll see you guys.
The league kind of has to happen. Not because of sentiment or tradition, but because the alternative is catastrophic for everyone involved. The NBA doesn't want the embarrassment of their women's league folding during the biggest growth period in its history. The players can't afford to lose a year of prime earning years. The new media partners who just committed hundreds of millions in rights fees would have legitimate legal claims. And the cities that paid expansion fees for new franchises, the Golden State Valkyries, are supposed to start playing next season. What happens to that investment if there's no league to join? So let's connect all these pieces. The WNBA sold 16% of itself for $75 million in 2022. When they were desperate for cash post-pandemic, that deal valued the entire league at roughly $470 million. Now, just 3 years later, the league's valuation has quadrupled to over $2 billion, with 3 expansion teams added and 3 more coming. Those original investors are sitting on equity worth $300 million or more. They deserve their returns. But the league needs that equity back to make the financial structure work, with players demanding 30% revenue share. You can't promise players 30% of revenue you don't fully control. Meanwhile, the CBA negotiations have been stalled for 15 months. The players want 30%, the league's offering 15%. Neither side is budging, and the clock is ticking toward a potential work stoppage that would devastate everyone involved. Here's the elegant solution that makes sense of this timing. Combine the equity buyback with the CBA negotiation. The players agree to start at 15% revenue share, but they receive that 16% equity stake as part of the deal. Over 10 to 15 years, they use their annual revenue share to pay off the negotiated buyback price. Once it's paid off, their revenue share increases to 33% permanently. This structure gives the league immediate breathing room on cash flow. It gives the players ownership and long-term wealth building. It gives the original investors their returns at a negotiated price that reflects the urgency of the situation. And it allows everyone to avoid the catastrophic scenario of no season. Because make no mistake, a work stoppage right now would be devastating. The WNBA just secured massive new media deals. Caitlin Clark's rookie season drove unprecedented attention and ratings. 3 expansion teams are launching over the next few years, with cities having paid substantial franchise fees. The momentum is real and fragile. If that momentum breaks, it doesn't come back easily. Casual fans who just discovered the league will move on. Media partners will invoke force majeure clauses. Expansion plans will stall, and all those alternative leagues the players think provide leverage, they collapse too, because their entire value proposition depends on the WNBA existing as the premier destination. Natasha Cloud can talk about staying in Unrivaled all she wants. But Unrivaled doesn't replace the WNBA, it's 3-on-3 basketball with 6 teams. It's a nice supplemental opportunity for 30 players during the winter. It's not a career. It's not a league that can support hundreds of players year-round. It's not the platform that makes you famous enough to get endorsement deals. The same applies to Athletes Unlimited. Individual players compete for points, and there's no team championship. Or Project B, which appears to be some tech entrepreneur's fever dream about disrupting sports media. Or overseas leagues that have existed for decades without generating American mainstream attention. None of these alternatives provide what the WNBA provides: structure, stability, media coverage, career development, pension plans, health insurance, and the legitimacy that comes from being affiliated with the NBA's infrastructure. So when you see the players asking fans to email the commissioner, when you see them posting about petitions, when you hear them talking about alternative options, understand what you're really seeing. Panic. They know they need this deal. They know the league has to happen. They're trying to generate public pressure because their actual leverage is limited. And the league knows it too, which is why exploring this equity buyback right now makes strategic sense. It's not just about ownership structure, it's about creating the financial flexibility to make a deal that works for everyone. It's about ensuring the season happens and the momentum continues. The investors who bought in at 75 million took real risk. The league was struggling. The pandemic had devastated live sports. Nobody knew if women's basketball would ever achieve mainstream popularity. They deserve substantial returns on that bet. But they also understand that their returns are entirely dependent on the league continuing to exist and grow. So there's a deal to be made here. The investors get 2.5 or 3 times their money instead of 4 times. The players get equity ownership and a path to 33% revenue share. The league maintains control of its financial structure and avoids a work stoppage. Everyone wins. The alternative is everyone loses. No season means no revenue for players. No returns for investors, no expansion fees for new franchises. No media rights payments, no momentum, no growth. Just a league that imploded at the exact moment it should have been taking off. That's why this equity buyback exploration matters so much. It's not a side story. It's the key to unlocking the CBA negotiation. It's the mechanism that allows both sides to get what they need without either side having to fully capitulate. Watch what happens over the next few months. If the league successfully negotiates a buyback of that 16% stake, and if that buyback gets structured into the CBA deal with players receiving equity, you'll know this theory was correct. You'll see a deal announced that gives players ownership, gives investors their returns, and gives the league the financial structure it needs to function. And if that happens, the WNBA's next decade looks incredibly bright. Player owners with real stake in the league's success. Expansion to 18 teams by 2030. Media deals that provide stability, infrastructure investments that professionalize the entire operation. But if these negotiations fail, if the pride and stubbornness on both sides prevents a creative solution, if we actually see a work stoppage during the league's biggest growth moment in history, then we'll look back at this equity buyback exploration as the missed opportunity that could have saved everything. So which outcome do you think we get? Does the league find a creative solution that gives everyone what they need, or do we watch women's basketball implode right when it should be taking off? Drop your prediction in the comments, because this situation is going to define the next decade of the WNBA, one way or another.